Today we're going to go over some problems from test number 2. I've written the scores on the board so you can see where you fall with respect to everyone else in the class. They go 94, 95, 94, 90, 90, 88, 88, 87, 79, 79, 79, 76, and 77, 76. This is the group that I'm really concerned about. There are 5 of you that are getting grades in the C category, and that's not good. So I'm going to work on getting those grades up by helping you to understand everything on this test. So let's start with problem number 1. There's quite a few of you that missed this. This is not your favorite kind of problem. It's a distance equals rate times time problems. Remember this formula, distance equals rate times time. We're going to be using this all year, so we really need to get these distance problems down, or every time you take a test, you're going to miss one. So let's look at the first problem of the test. It says Mindy left at 8 a.m. So we always draw our picture. Here's our line of Mindy. That's Mindy. And we'll call her the distance of Mindy. She left at 8 a.m. and she arrived at 1 p.m. That's Mindy. Then we have the distance of Kelly. She left, we'll call this the distance of Kelly. She went this far. She also left at 8 a.m., but she did not arrive until 2 p.m. They arrived at the same place, they left from the same place, so we know their distances are the same. So right away we can write the distance of Mindy equals the distance of Kelly. This is a given. These are the equal distance problems. Now let's see what we know about Mindy and Kelly. We know that the time of Mindy is from 8 to 1, so that is 5 hours. So we'll put the units in later, but for right now we'll just write 5. The time of Kelly is 6 hours. Then it says how many miles was the trip if Kelly traveled 10 miles per hour slower than Mindy. So that means the rate of Kelly equals the rate of Mindy minus 10, because Kelly traveled 10 miles slower than Mindy. So this is all that we know, and this is how we write it down. Now we take our equation, the distance of Mindy equals the distance of Kelly, and we break it into rate times time. So it's going to be the rate of Mindy times the time of Mindy equals the rate of Kelly times the time of Kelly. So we just broke it down, and now we substitute in what we know. We know the time of Mindy is 5, and we're going to leave the rate of Mindy in there. We're going to have this whole equation in terms of the rate of Mindy. That's going to be our variable that we leave in there. So our time of Mindy is 5, and the rate of Mindy is rate of Mindy. The reason I reverse these is because it's better to have the number before the variable. You can switch these. 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. Then we have the rate of Kelly is right here. It's 10 less than the rate of Mindy. So we're going to put our time first. Just like I said, we can switch them around just to make it easier to read. So the time of Kelly is 6 times the rate of Kelly is the rate of Mindy minus 10. So this is our equation. Now we can solve for the rate of Mindy and answer the question, answer the problem. So we get 5 times the rate of Mindy equals 6 times the rate of Mindy minus 60. We can add 60 to both sides and get 60. And we can subtract 5 rates of Mindy's from 6 rates of Mindy and get 1 rate of Mindy. So the rate of Mindy is 60 kilometers per hour. The question, though, is not, I think it's in miles, 60 miles per hour. The question, though, isn't asking for miles per hour, it's asking how many miles was the trip. So we have to go back up here. We know the distance of Mindy equals the rate of Mindy times the time of Mindy. The distance of Mindy is the rate of Mindy, which is, we found out is 60. The time of Mindy is 5, which we get over here, time of Mindy. And so the distance of Mindy equals 300 miles. So hopefully that helps you with these kind of problems. They're going to take practice. What you have to do is, if you don't understand these problems, you need to look at examples, you need to keep trying them. You can't tell yourself, I just can't get distance problems, so I'm not going to do them. You have to persevere and learn these, or they're going to trip you up for the rest of the year. All right, let's try problem number 3 on the test. A lot of people miss problem number 3, and I think it's because it mentions ratio in the problem. So let's do this one. It says the ratio of two numbers is 8 to 5. So I'm going to use L over S is 8 to 5. I'm going to use L and S just because of larger and smaller, because later it talks about the difference. So I want to make sure I subtract the smaller number from the larger number. So the first thing it says is the ratio of two numbers is 8 to 5. So here's our two numbers, here's if the ratio is 8 to 5. Now the problem with this is we have two variables with one equation. So we know in order to solve an equation with two variables, we need two variables. We need two equations. So we're going to need another equation. But if you keep reading, they supply us with another equation. The difference of the numbers is 24. So the larger minus the smaller is 24. Now we have two equations and two variables, so we can solve it. First I'm going to get rid of this fraction, so I'm going to cross multiply. So we get 5L equals 8S. Now I'm going to solve this for one of the variables. I'm going to solve it for L. So we get L equals 24 plus S. Now we can use simple substitution. I can take what L is equal to this, and put it where the L is in that first equation. So we get 5 times 24 plus S equals 8S. Distribute it. We're going to get 120 plus 5S equals 8S. And if I subtract 5 from both sides, we get 120 equals 3S. And it turns out that the smaller number is 40. That's a smaller number. Make sure you always go back to see what the question is asking for. This question says, what are the numbers? So we needed to go back up here, and we can put in S. We can put in our, right here, we can put our 40 in. So the larger number is 24 plus 40. So the larger number is 64. So these are your two numbers that will satisfy both of these equations. All right, let's try problem number 8. A lot of people had problems with this one. These are, what they're giving us on a test is they say find P and Q. That's all they tell us. They don't tell us that these are similar triangles, but we can determine that they're similar triangles because they tell us these angles are the same, and we know that vertical angles are the same. So we have two angles that they're kind of given in the triangle that are the same, so we know that the third angle is also the same. That's just the definition of similar triangles. If you have two angles the same, then you know the third's the same. If all three angles are the same, you know the triangles are similar. If the triangles are similar, then the ratio of their sides are equal. So let's just start. We have to decide how to make the ratios. I took this triangle here and rotated it, and I drew it down here so that we could see how this triangle and this triangle are similar. So this angle would be that one, and this angle would be this one. Now we're going to work with these two triangles, and we're just going to put a ratio. If you put these numbers on the top, all these numbers have to be on the top of the fraction, and all these numbers have to go on the bottom. If you put these on the top, then all these need to be in the bottom. So let's just make some ratios here. Here's the number parts without the variables. Let's do that first. So we're going to have 8 over 20. The sides are proportional. So we're going to do, if the triangles are similar, the sides are proportional. So 8 over 20 is going to equal P over 18. They're the corresponding sides. So that's going to be P over 18. So you see that we have 8 over 20 as P is to 18. We have all the numbers from the big triangle on the bottom and the numbers and variables from the little triangle on the top. Now we're going to cross multiply. 8 times 18 is 144 equals 20p, and then we just solve for p. We divide both sides by 20, and we get p equals And you can leave it as a fraction or decimal. It's either going to be 7.2 or 36 over 5. So this is what we got for P. Now we need to find Q, and it's the same thing. I'm going to use the same 8 over 20 because we can only have one variable in the equation. So we're going to use the numbers, which would be 8 over 20, equals, this time we're going to have Q over 17 because they correspond. So we get Q over 17. Again, we can cross multiply, and when we do this, we get 136 equals 20Q. Divide both sides by 20 again. And this time, we're going to get Q equals either 6.8 or 34/5. You could reduce the fraction right here and you would get smaller numbers. You could reduce this fraction, divide both by 4, it would make it a little bit easier. Or you could just use your calculator and get the answers. But the thing to keep in mind, you have to get the triangles going the right way and then match the corresponding sides. If the triangles are similar, their sides proportional. So that's how you do that one.